55 minutes, it wouldn't matter. And he appealed to, way more than just a baseball fan, and that was his secret to success.
Karl, do you have a favorite Bob Uecker story or interaction that is just your favorite that you want to share with our audience?
Well, I mean, we were at a game this I think it was this summer. It may have been the postseason last season. I forget when it was, but we sat in booths, and you could see in between each booth, and there was a particular decision being made, and I honest to God, don't remember if it was by the Brewers manager or the manager of the team they were playing. But in the middle of this decision, I think it was a pitching decision, would kind of look over, and he would put his hands up like, "What in the hell are they doing here?" And that, again, that was his ability to, in a sense, see a moment and diagnose it and have an opinion about it and not be afraid to share it. And yet we're obviously, working for our own entities, and he'd look over at us because that's what we do as a group. You kind of run things by others doing what you're doing in the broadcast field. And he looked over at us with this absolute look of utter confusion and wondering what in the world was going on. And that, in a lot of ways, to me, that summed him up. This was a guy who was watching this. It's the middle of a game, and he doesn't understand what in the hell is going on the field and the decision that's being made. And he's going to let you know about it. And we couldn't hear what he said, but I'm sure it was similar to that. And that moment was the most recent and as telling as any. Like this, who wouldn't want to hang around with somebody who doesn't sort of analytically break this stuff down? It's more of, what in the world are they doing?
Yeah, he is one of one. That is what Bob Uecker was, and we've been playing clips of him calling games in 1982 and a Rhys Hoskins Grand Slam 6 months ago, and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the person with the energy and the enthusiasm that he had behind every broadcast. As Karl Ravech joins us here on Kyle, Brust, and Nortman, the voice of Sunday Night Baseball, longtime ESPN personality.
Karl, I mean, obviously we know the impact that Bob had, but how did a broadcaster, right, from player, he was an okay player, but he was a phenomenal broadcaster. How did he just absolutely transcend what he did in the booth to have the great impact on baseball where he ended up in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, he succeeded. Let's look at sports broadcasting today, and I can ask you this. I think the answer is going to be fairly similar. If you take the number one analyst out there now in any sport, I think most people would say it's Charles Barkley. And the reason that Barkley is so successful is he, played the sport at a high level. Uecker didn't do that, but he spoke about the sport in a way that is not necessarily so technical that anybody can't understand it. He speaks like you would, and he did in commercials at a bar. He made light of the fact that his seat must be in the front row. When he speaks, he's not speaking over you. He's speaking to you in a language that you can understand. Relatability is what his incredible gift was. And he played, and he never made it too complicated. He clearly was able to speak the language of the 2024, 2025 era with, general managers and analytics. But he spoke to you like you want to be spoken to. Just tell me what's going on. And if humor is going to be a part of it, thank you very much for doing that too. But that to me is what made Barkley and makes him so successful. Romo, when he was doing football early on, he was excited. He was enthusiastic. He spoke a language that everybody could understand. You could feel his passion. You could certainly do that with Uecker, regardless of the season that the Brewers were having. And certainly here recently when Adames and company and Yelich were having success, you knew he lived and died every pitch and every game and every result, but he didn't take it home with him and think this is the worst day of my life. He'd be one of those people you'd look at and say, I wonder if that guy ever had a bad day in his life. And again, people gravitate towards funny, happy people, and he was that.
Karl, you've obviously been in this business and been doing it a long time, but is there anything you've ever just heard from Uecker and tried to take and, utilize in your life on or off the air?
Well, I think to me, it touches on that, what I just talked about, is his his ability in a communication business to actually cut through some of the stuff that causes people who are trying to communicate struggle to communicate. It was so easy. I worked with John Kruk forever, and John Kruk is another one of those guys who could have been in 1,000 Miller Lite commercials and has this relatability about him. We don't need to be perfect. We don't need to look perfect. We're going to laugh at ourselves. We're going to laugh at most things. We're going to be brutally honest, which I know I remember in working with Kruk and watching and listening to Uke. The beauty of the commentary is that it is honest. We're not running away from saying that a player made a bad play. I think most players respect those who have credibility that are not afraid to tell it like it is and be honest. And Kruk did that, and I think Uecker did that as well. He's not going to sugarcoat anything because then you lose credibility. And he had such credibility from being a catcher, first and foremost, seeing the game differently, and then the way that he expressed all of his different views and opinions. It's hard to say the guy, does anybody ever say about Uecker he doesn't know what he's talking about? That never happened because of all of his experiences and his willingness to say what he observed. While a lot of folks right now, especially ex-players, they're occasionally afraid to offend players because that's what I was. He was not afraid to do that, and yet find me somebody who he may have been critical of that didn't love the guy.
Karl, I just got to ask, what is your favorite Bob Uecker line? There's a lot to choose from, right? I must be in the front row from that iconic commercial, or just a bit outside. Just a bit outside, or get up, get out of here, gone. Which one's your favorite?
Yeah, I mean, the most famous is just a bit outside, and everybody used that from missed field goals to missed putts to throwing the ball with your kid in the backyard or having them throw it. So that's the one that I think sticks and resonates with most. But I was listening to MLB Network Radio today, and I couldn't tell you who was sharing this story, but it was so beautifully Bob Uecker, and it had to do, and maybe you guys know this, but it had to do when there was a dental group that sponsored Brewers baseball. And I think the tagline about the dental group was, you come to, let's just say, come to Ravech Dental. We do it better than anyone else. We are the dentist who cares. And you, over time, turn that into, come to Ravech Dental. We take care of our patients. Ravech Dental. Who cares? So such a pause into it that it became, who the hell cares? And that, again, is he was able to see, that if I do this over time and I'm going to start pausing, and it became, who cares? And I'm sure that the dental group benefited from it, as opposed to, Bob, we do care. You're making it sound like nobody should care. So that's the type of story, and his ability to look at things and be perceived as somebody who gets it all. I'm having fun with it. Nobody's getting offended, and in a society in which everybody's offended by the way people look at them or whatever, he clearly was able to cut through all that.
Well, a great partner of the Brewers Radio Network is Usingers, and I think we're going to have a Usinger brat for our guy Uecker tomorrow. Yeah. So, Karl, we appreciate the time and look forward to hearing from you all next baseball season.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, guys.
Karl Ravech of ESPN, Baseball Tonight play-by-play host. Listen back if you missed it, and it's been a wonderful show just recapping everything Bob Uecker.
We've been talking about the great Bob Uecker, but I'm here to just tell you a little bit about your windows. If anybody is looking to get windows, you have to do it with Universal Windows Direct. Universal Windows Direct, they offer a great, amazing deal. Right now, buy 2 windows, get 2 free. That's right. For every 2 windows you buy, you get the next 2 absolutely free. And also, for 3 years, you can have no interest financing. Yes, no interest financing. Quality windows, great customer service. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, and no interest-free payments for 3 whole years. years, I'm telling you, there's no better way to go than with Universal Windows Direct. Contact them today at 414-410-2000. That's Universal Windows at 414-410-2000, or visit them at universalwindowsdirect.com. And like me, you'll be saying, I love my Windows.
We are going to get to Bob Uecker's Hall of Fame speech in full for you. You can't miss it. Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to Kyle, Brust, and Nortman.
Pull my baby out the goal. Y'all, get him out. Ain't no way in the world my baby going to get hit that many times with a puck.
On ESPN Wisconsin and WisconsinOnDemand.com.
Eastbound on 94, we are seeing some delays in Waukesha County, basically from Blue Mound Road all the way past Brookfield Road. You'll be back on the brakes from 84th Street all the way through to 35th. Now, we did have an accident at the end of the ramp from southbound 41 to eastbound 94, so that's going to be affecting your ride as well. Southbound 894 backing up from just before Beloit Road down and around the Hale interchange to Forest Home. Southbound on 43, slowing from North Avenue, pretty much solid all the way down through the Marquette to the KK River. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast. Tonight, mostly cloudy, a low of 24. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, breezy, mild, a slight mix later on in the evening, a high of 42. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga, 94.5 ESPN.
It's time for the Milwaukee Basketball Report on 94.5 ESPN. Brought to you by National Liquor Mart, located at 16th and National in Milwaukee. National Liquor Mart is packed with deals for all your beverage needs, where your satisfaction is their plan of action. Open 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily.
The Bucks led by 18 points after the first quarter and cruised to a 122-93 win over the Orlando Magic at Fiserv Forum for their fifth victory in the last 6 games. Damian Lillard led the way with a game-high 30 points on 13 of 19 from the floor, including a perfect 3 of 3 from beyond the arc.
Damian Lillard off 1 foot. He puts up another nice-looking shot. He's got 30 points in this one. His first 30-point game since December the 6th at Boston.
The 22-17 Bucks are 5 games over 500 for the first time this season. They continue their 4-game homestand Friday night against the Toronto Raptors.
This has been the Milwaukee Basketball Report on 94.5 ESPN. Brought to you by National Liquor Mart.
Join the roar of 18,000 Bucks fans at Fiserv Forum and be a part of the slam dunks, game-changing plays, and electrifying victories live. Witness the edge-of-your-seat action and unforgettable moments as they happen. You don't want to miss this. Grab your calendar, handpick your favorite matchups, and secure your seats for Dame time in Milwaukee and every incredible moment that comes next at bucks.com/tickets. That's bucks.com/tickets.
Bring in the new year at your local Milwaukee Metro Region Kunis Auto Group dealerships. If it's the new year, it's time for a new ride. So plan on driving into 2025 in style at a Kunis Auto Group dealership near you. Your Milwaukee Metro Region Kunis dealerships feature America's best-selling brands from both Buick and GMC, all at nearby locations in Oak Creek and Greenfield. During January, every remaining new 2024 vehicle plus thousands of select pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs are all being discount price to sell. We've got to make immediate room for hundreds of incoming new 2025s, as well as hundreds of fresh trade-ins from the holiday season. We're paying top values on all trades, no matter what the mileage or condition. Don't forget to check out individual dealership websites for pre-owned vehicles super specials, plus January service specials on everything from oil changes, tires, and brakes. Ring in big New Year savings at your nearby Milwaukee Metro Region Kunis Auto Group dealerships, or shop online at shopkunis.com.
My overall experience with Gruber Law Offices has been phenomenal.
The treatment was excellent.
They will be supportive of you. They will listen to you.
It was a great experience knowing that I had people to help me.
I know I could count on them to do what I needed to get done.
Experience with Gruber was great.
They gave me my life back.
It was amazing.
He gets results.
We know how to win. If you've been injured, call Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
Gruber Law Offices had my best interests at heart.
You're listening to Kyle, Brust, and Nortman on ESPN Wisconsin and WisconsinOnDemand.com.
Well, there is no tomorrow tonight for the Crew. Our next broadcast will come to you from Arizona. That's what's going to happen.
It's been a tough day remembering Bob Uecker, but lots of smiles too. Let me tell you about my friends at QC Kinetics. If you have pain in your knees, your hips, your shoulders, or your back, they are your go-to solution for regenerative medicine. No drugs, no steroids, no surgery. This is a long-term solution using natural solutions like PRP, stem cells, and plasma. So many things that QC Kinetics can do for you to get rid of that joint pain that is lingering. So if you're ready for your free consultation, call QC Kinetics today and get your free consultation for your personalized plan to get back to active health and feeling good. Call QC Kinetics at 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
Ben Brust, Kyle Wallace, Brad Nortman, Alex Strofe. As promised, we will get to the entirety of Bob Uecker's Hall of Fame speech in 2003. If you love hearing us, we appreciate you. But it's not our day. It's Bob's day. When we come back, we will have the entirety of Bob Uecker's 2003 Hall of Fame speech leading into the Homer Hour with Homer at 5 o'clock.
Do you want to have more fun watching the NFL playoffs? Try playing Sleeper Picks. Just download the Sleeper app today and pick more or less on at least 2 players' projected stats. You can win up to 100 times your cash. For a limited time, Sleeper has a special offer. New users have to just play $5 and they'll receive $55 in free entries. Just download the Sleeper app today and use code BRAD, B-R-A-D. Must be 18 years or older. Promo code, location, and other restrictions apply. Minimum deposit $25. See terms of use for details. Please play responsibly. Call 1-800-426-2537 for help.
Fingers come in different sizes.
It's one of the first things you learn as a jeweler.
And a ring can only be sized up or down a little bit.
Which means it's a really good thing to know your ring size.
And it's an even better thing to know their ring size.
This is why we're announcing
the Ring Size Registry at Kessler's.
We're doing it as a public service. It's completely free.
Free. Isn't that a great price?
Here's how it works.
Just drop into any Kessler's Diamonds location and tell one of the owners that you'd like to know your ring size.
Kessler's is an employee-owned company, so whoever greets you at the door is an owner.
They'll determine your ring sizes and add them to our Ring Size Registry.
Then, when someone wants to know your ring size...
Because, maybe they want to surprise you.
All they have to do is call or stop into Kessler's.
Surprises can be fun, don't you think?
We're happy to do this for you, even if you don't buy a ring from us.
But after you take a look around, we think you probably will. Visit KesslersDiamonds.com for a location near you and register your ring sizes today.
UW Credit Union presents the Student Athlete of the Week, supporting local student athletes as they grow on the field, in the classroom, and in the community. UW Credit Union is here for every you. Learn more at uwcu.org. Here's Ashton Rotman with the UW Credit Union Student Athlete of the Week.
This week's UW Credit Union Student Athlete of the Week is Racine Lutheran boys basketball player Sam Pitroff. The 6'4" junior averaging 17.4 points per game this season, up a tick from his sophomore season, which saw him average just over 15 points a game. And of those games, a couple of big ones, back-to-back wins last week against Martin Luther and Dominican. 38 total points in those 2 games. The combo guard turning it over less than 2 times a game as well for the now 12-0 Racine Lutheran Crusaders. Pitroff, as a sophomore, finished second-team All-Metro Classic Conference and is looking to top that with his 2024-25 campaign. Congratulations to this week's UW Credit Union Student Athlete of the Week, Racine Lutheran Crusaders boys basketball player Sam Pitroff.
Great Midwest Bank has document imaging technology from James Imaging Systems, a 100% locally owned and managed business technology company. The bank's IT systems administrator, Michael Quizon, comments on the value of local.
We call on them at any point, they're there. We ask them any questions that we have, they're there.
James Imaging Systems, local business technology solutions, local support, local accountability. Luther Gray, Director of Ticket Operations and Group Sales for the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra.
If an issue does arise, they're very prompt, polite, and professional. It makes me feel empowered because I find it very easy to resolve something.
James Imaging Systems client, Al Leidinger, President of Matheson Manufacturing, summarized the benefit of local.
James Imaging has been a really good partner with us from the beginning.
Go with local. Go with James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner. Call 262-781-7700 or visit jamesimaging.com.
You're listening to Kyle, Brust, and Nortman, KBN, on ESPN Wisconsin and WisconsinOnDemand.com.
The legendary Bob Uecker passed away at age 90. to finish the show before the Homer Hour, courtesy of the National Baseball Hall of Fame. This is from 2003 from the man himself, Mr. Baseball's Hall of Fame speech for you on Kyle, Brust, and Nortman.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you very much. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And my congratulations to Hal, Gary Carter, Eddie Murray, and to all of the members of the staff of the Hall of Fame. Thank you very much. This has been a wonderful, wonderful time. I, in deference to Hal McCoy, was asked to quit many times. I was born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Actually, I was born in Illinois. My mother and father were on an oleomargarine run to Chicago back in 1934 because we couldn't get colored margarine in Wisconsin. On the way home, my mother was with child, me, and the pain started, and my dad pulled off into an exit area, and that's where the event took place. I remember it was a nativity type setting. An exit light shining down. There were 3 truck drivers there. One guy was carrying butter. One guy had frankfurters, and the other guy was a retired baseball scout who told my folks that I probably had a chance to play somewhere down the line. I remember it being very cold. It was January. I didn't weigh very much. I think the birth certificate says something like 10 ounces. I was very small. And I remember the coldness on my back from the asphalt. And I was immediately wrapped in swaddling clothes and put in the back of a 37 Chevy. Without a heater. And that was the start of this Cinderella story that you're hearing today. I did not have a lot of ability as a kid. My dad wanted me to have everything that everybody else had. I think the first thing that he ever bought me was a football. And I was very young, and he didn't know a lot about it. He came from the old country. And we tried to pass it and throw it and kick it, and we couldn't do it, and it was very discouraging for him and for me. And we almost quit. And finally we had a nice enough neighbor came over and put some air in it. And what a difference. I got a lot of my ability from my father, as a lot of these other guys did. My father actually came to this country as a soccer player. He didn't play. He blew up the balls is what he did. And they didn't have pumps in those days. And to see a man put that valve in his mouth and insert it into a soccer ball and blow 30 pounds of air and then have the ability to pull that thing out without it fracturing the back of his mouth was unbelievable. You had to see his neck and his veins popping. It was unbelievable. How proud I was as I watched him do it time after time. My first sport was 8th grade basketball. And my dad didn't want to buy me the supporter, Johnny, to do the job. So my mother made me one out of a flour sack. And the tough thing about that is you put that baby on, you whip it out of your bag in the gym, and all the guys are looking at it, and you start the game, and the guy guarding you knows exactly where you're going because little specks of flour keep dropping out. And then right down the front it says Pillsbury's Best, I signed a very modest $3,000 bonus with the Braves in Milwaukee, which I'm sure a lot of you know. And my old man didn't have that kind of money to put out. But the Braves took it. I remember sitting around our kitchen table counting all this money, coins out of jars. And I'm telling my dad, let's forget this. I don't want to play. He said, no, you are going to play baseball. We're going to have you make some money, and we're going to live real good. My dad had an accent. I want to be real authentic when I'm doing this thing. So I signed. The signing took place at a very popular restaurant in Milwaukee. And I remember driving, and my dad's all fired up and nervous. And I said, look, it'll be over in a couple of minutes. Don't be uptight. We pull in the parking lot, pull next to the Braves automobile. And my dad screws up right away. He doesn't have the window rolled up far enough, and our tray falls off, and all the food is on the floor. And from there on, it was baseball. Starting with the Braves in Milwaukee, St. Louis, where I won the World's Championship for them in 1964, to the Philadelphia Phillies, and then back to the Braves in Atlanta, where I became Phil Niekro's personal chaser. But during every player's career, there comes a time when you know that your services are no longer required, that you might be moving on, traded, sold, released, whatever it may be. And having been with 4 clubs, I picked up a few of these tips. I remember Gene Mauch doing things to me at Philadelphia. I'd be sitting there and he'd say, grab a bat and stop this rally. Send me up there without a bat and tell me to try for a walk. Look down at the third base coach for a sign and have him turn his back on you. But you know what? Things like that never bothered me. I've set records that will never be equaled. 90% I hope are never printed. 200 lifetime batting average in the major leagues, which tied me with another sports great, averaging 200 or better for a 10-year period. Don Carter, one of our top bowlers. In 1967, I set a major league record for pass balls. And I did that without playing every game. There was a game, as a matter of fact, during that year when Phil Niekro's brother and he were pitching against each other in Atlanta. Their parents were sitting right behind home plate. I saw their folks more that day than they did the whole weekend. But with people like Niekro, and this was another thing that I found the easy way out, to catch a knuckleball, was to wait until it stopped rolling and then just pick it up.
You're listening to Kyle, Brust, and Nortman before the Homer Hour at 5 o'clock as we're listening in to Bob Uecker's Hall of Fame speech in 2003, courtesy of the National Baseball Hall of Fame.
There were a lot of things that aggravated me, too. My family is here today. My boys, my girls, my kids used to do things that aggravate me, too. I'd take them to a game and they'd want to come home with a different player. I remember one of my friends came to Atlanta to see me once. He came to the door, he says, Bob Uecker live here? He said, yeah, bring him in. But my 2 boys are just like me. in their championship Little League game. One of them struck out 3 times, and the other one had an error, allowed the winning run to score. They lost the championship, and I couldn't have been more proud. I remember the people as we walked through the parking lot throwing eggs and rotten stuff at our car. What a beautiful day. You know, everybody remembers their first game in the major leagues. For me, it was in Milwaukee, my hometown, born and raised there. And I can remember walking out on the field, and Bertie Tebbetts was our manager at that time, and my family was there, my mother and dad and all my relatives, and as I'm standing on the field, everybody's pointing at me and waving and laughing, and I'm pointing back, and Bertie Tebbetts came up and asked me if I was nervous or uptight about the game. And I said, I'm not. I've been waiting 5 years to get here. I'm ready to go. He said, well, we're going to start you today. I didn't want to tell you earlier. I didn't want you to get too fired up. I said, look, I'm ready to go. He said, well, great, you're in there. And, oh, by the way, the rest of us up here wear that supporter on the inside. So that was the first game my folks walked out on, too. But you know, of all the things that I've done, this has always been number one, baseball. The commercials, the films, the television series. I could never wait for everything to get over to get back to baseball. I still, and this is not sour grapes by any means, still think I should have gone in as a player. Thank you. Thank you very much. There it is, boys. The proof is in the pudding. Now, this conglomeration of greats that are here today, a lot of them were teammates, but they won't admit it. But they were. And a lot of them were players that worked in games that I called. They are wonderful friends and always will be. And the 1964 World Championship team, the great Lou Brock. And I remember as we got down near World Series time, Bing Devine, who was the Cardinals general manager at that time, asked me if I would do him and the Cardinals in general a favor. And I said I would. And he said, we'd like to inject you with hepatitis. We need to bring an infielder up. And I said, will I be able to sit on the bench? He said, yes. We'll build a plastic cubicle for you because it is an infectious disease. And I've got to tell you this. I have a photo at home. I turned a beautiful color yellow, and with that cardinal white uniform, I was knocked out. It was beautiful, wasn't it, Lou? It was great. Of course, any championship involves a World Series, the ring, the ceremony, the following season in St. Louis at Old Busch Stadium. And we were standing along the sideline. I was in the bullpen warming up the pitcher. And when they call my name for the ring, it's something that you never ever forget. And when they threw it out in the left field, I found it in the 5th inning, I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah. And once I spotted it in the grass, man, I was on it. I mean, it was unbelievable. But as these players have bats and gloves, I had a great shoe contract and glove contract with a company who paid me a lot of money never to be seen using their stuff. Bat orders. I would order a dozen bats, and there were times they came back with handles at each end. You know, people have asked me a lot of times, because I didn't hit a lot, we all know that, how long a dozen bats would last me. Depending on the weight and the model I was using at that particular time, I would say 8 to 10 cookouts. I once ordered a dozen flame-treated bats, and they sent me a box of ashes. So I knew at that time, things were moving on. But there are, again, as I said, tips that you pick up when the Braves were going to release me. It's a tough time for a manager, for your family, for the player, to be told that you're never going to play the game again. And I can remember walking in the clubhouse that day, and Luman Harris, who was the Braves manager, came up to me and said there were no visitors allowed. So again, I knew I might be moving on. Paul Richards was the general manager and told me the Braves wanted to make me a coach for the following season and that I would be coaching second base. So again, gone. But that's when the baseball career started as a broadcaster. I remember working first with Milo Hamilton and Ernie Johnson, and I was all fired up about that too, until I found out that my portion of the broadcast was being used to jam Radio Free Europe. And I picked up a microphone one day and my mic had no cord on it, so I was talking to nobody. But it's such a wonderful, wonderful thing today to be here. And one of my first partners was mentioned earlier, Merle Harmon and Tom Collins. He's here today. All of those who I've worked with, from Merle to Lorne Brown, Dwayne Mosley, Pat Hughes, who now works for the Chicago Cubs, and my current partner today, Jim Powell and Ken Sommerfeld. My thanks to all of you. To my good pal Bob Costas out there. Thank you, Bobby. All of the network people. That has been as much a part of broadcasting for me as anything. The days with ABC and Monday Night Baseball, with the late Bob Prince, and Keith Jackson and Al Michaels, and my great pal Don Drysdale. All of those people have played such a big part in me being here today. Dick Ebersol, the head of NBC Sports. All of them are a big part of what I am. My family is seated over here. I love them very much. Ulyss Payne is here, the president of the Brewers. The commissioner of baseball is the guy that gave me my start. He said, I want to bring you back to Milwaukee. And I said, I'll come, and here I am, 33 years later. Thank you, Al. I call him Al. Bud Selig. His wife Sue is here. To all of my Brewer family, Wendy, Laurel, Selig, Wendy Selig, Prieb, Laurel Prieb, Tony Miliaccio, one of my great friends, Mike LeBeau, all my people, John Greenberg. I didn't even know you were here. You took care of Hal McCoy. What the hell's going on? But all of these people play such a big part in all of our lives. And to all of you baseball fans around America and any place else, for your letters, your thoughts, your kindness for all of these years. It's been a great run, but number one has always been baseball for me. No matter what else I ever did, baseball was the only way I wanted to go. I thank you very much for your attention today. Thank you for having me, and congratulations to everybody here. Thank you very much.